Welcome to the luxury world. In this video, we give you why Rolex should be worried about Tudor. It all began in March 2012. Baselworld 10 years ago, two different worlds were put together in an improbable combo that would shake up an entire industry. Now, the Tudor Black Bay has accomplished the end of its first decade. And to acknowledge, we're taking a look down memory lane at what we think are the 5 best Tudor Black Bays ever made. We're used to witnessing new iterations of the Black Bay every year. You can pretty much set your black veil to them. But no one anticipated what we got in 2019. At 42mm and shrouded with claw-like bezel protectors, the P01. With a P standing for prototype, it blew everyone's socks off. Not only was it contentious in looks, but in its very existence, supposedly established on a navy design from 1967, of which only 4 examples were constructed and never utilized. 2 of the 4 remain in hibernation in Tudor's archives all this time. The P01 is shrouded in mystery as it surprised appearance back in 2019. It gets even more peculiar that a very similar Rolex also surfaced recently, with Rolex flatly opposing its existence. So either these watches are secret designs, Rolex continues to preserve a half-century-old secret, or something fishier than a well-used dive watch. Either way, the P01 became prominent in the town and was designed to be the ultimate in special forces diving equipment. Not only is it built by the battleship, but its owners will also be reflected. It also highlighted a bizarre offset crown for extra knock resistance and 2 up-and-over bezel protectors, one of which breaks back and forth to lock the unusual 12-hour bezel and not dive bezel in place. From a watchmaker that iterates rather than restores, this is one chaos of a crazy iteration. Speaking of iteration, 2021 was identical to Black Bay, spurring several new color variants, including an unexpected but interesting taupe for the bezel and dial of a smaller Black Bay 58 is not a big deal. Tudor might be thinking of picking a color from a watch, but the huge surprise wasn't that Tudor had gone all drag with its color choice, rather the material the rest of the watch was made from. Never mind hardy steel or bright gold, however, a gold version was also released. The Black Bay 58 9-5 was originally made from silver. The big question in everyone's mouth at the time was why. It was a fair question. Because white silver is the same color as steel, it's not as hard nor tarnishes resistant. Silver was utilized before steel had been mastered. Silver is softer and is simply beformed. But it all goes black and tainted, requires a lot of maintenance, and dents easily. So why did Tudor prefer it? We've recognized watches that tarnish on purpose before, even with Tudor using bronze. However, Tudor prefers silver. Not for its potential dullness, but only for its brightness. Silver speculates a lot more light compared to steel, making it whiter and brighter, and effects that are noticed in person are incredibly unique. And as for the tarnishing, Tudor says it's used a few secret ingredients in the silver alloy to keep it sparkling. Do you remember all the comments about the Rolex GMT Master Pepsi in ceramic? They will, they won't, they tease of bicolor bezels in non-Pepsi shades. The ultimate release of the Pepsi ceramic but in white gold, and now the inconceivability of ever hoping of getting one. That went on for decades and is still going on today, thanks to the extensive demand that slow burn built. Those hoping to recreate the glory days of Rolex, its most beloved non-monochrome watch, are for the most part going to be left dissatisfied. Not if the Tudor could help it, because in 2018, the Black Bay GMT was launched. And not only did it provide everyone with an affordable available red and blue fix, but it also did something else rather surprising. Instead of spangly ceramic and polished center links, the Tudor Black Bay GMT went back in time to the heyday of the GMT Master when it was worn by pilots breaking new air across the Atlantic. Brushed steel and anodized aluminum bezel and riveted bracelet completed a look that was the polar opposite of the Rolex, harking back to what made the watch great. Instead of mimicking what the watch had certainly become, it was both fresh and popular, exciting and comforting. And of course, it was an instant strike. Now, if only there was a version 58. Talking about historic throwbacks to modern watches, how about the 2017 Black Bay Chronograph? Nope, nothing. Okay, so it wasn't ideal, being a little too thick and a little bit too bland. But it was still an incredible watch and, like the GMT, is more than a satisfying alternative to the Rolex Daytona. Those who couldn't afford one will be upset to wait for one. Nevertheless, Tudor heard the clenching. A few years later, we revisited the watch and strived to make things right, making what was a great but fairly interchangeable watch into a brilliant watch period. A little slender, a little more contrast with the black bezel and inverted sub-dials, some extra flashes of red, and bam, an instant classic. What was stunning and refreshing about this particular watch was that Tudor listened to its community. They heard what the people were saying and did something about it. And the struggle in purchasing one now only shows what a great move that was. Now, if only there was a version 58. However, by far and away, the best Tudor Black Bay is the 58. It may be a clear choice, and that makes me as imaginative as something. Nonetheless, it stands true. This watch allows you to have quality, history, and mechanical competence for a value that wouldn't break your bank. This watch reminds us that appreciating watches didn't have to be an exercise in excess. We find ourselves wearing it every day. It's small, it's comfortable, it's not flashy. And we don't mind if we don't get over something. It doesn't keep us awake in the middle of the night thinking about roommates. And we don't have to take out any second contract to ensure it. We can wear it on a canvas strap. We can wear it in the garden. Also, we can wear them on a dog walk, but we don't wear them in bed though. That would be pretty ridiculous. You may call it boring. You could also call it the default choice for people with no own character. Whether that is true or not, the Black Bay 58 has been the first watch we've owned in a long period. That allows us to have an amazing experience that feels as close to what we imagined owning a Rolex in the 1960s would have felt like. Fantastic, perhaps. Yet, it has an honest logic that exceeds posturing and feels fresh, at least to me. And the best thing about it is when someone asks if it's a Rolex and the follow-up question is it real? So, there you go. 10 years of what became a cornerstone of watch collecting in a piece that inhabits a welcome space in our collection. Who would have imagined that this throwback watch from a recovering Rolex sub-brand could be such a game-changer all those years ago? Considering not only price but also design materials and how watch brands interact with the community. Happy 10 years to the Black Bay! What's your favorite Black Bay edition? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you everyone for watching this video. And if you enjoyed it, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. If there are any watches you'd love to witness featured, please let us know in the comments below. If you believe this video is helpful, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon so you're given a heads up when our next video goes live. This is The Luxury World and we'll see you next time.